Okay, so today on Taking Off, I'm going to be flying in the plane that Buddy Holly and Richie Valens died in. Well, actually, it's not the actual plane, but it's one just like it. Stay tuned.
Today I got to take a ride in Larry Henson's beautiful Bonanza 35G. I've never been in a VTOL, and it was interesting to learn that the plane used to use parachute flares for landing at night. After getting her ready and doing all the pre-flight, it was ready to take her up.
Hicks traffic, VTOL Bonanza, we're departing 14 to the west, Hicks traffic.
Approaching runway 1432. Entered runway 1432.
Airspeed's alive. 60. It should fly. All right, we've used up our 225 horsepower, so I'm going to bring the propeller back to 23. Get to front full power for 5 minutes. And Hicks traffic. VTOL Bonanza is turning to the west. So I know you fly out of Hicks a lot, but a lot of people don't. We have Meacham and Carswell just off to the south of us here. Always watch out for Carswell because you never want to know when a 35 is going to be coming in.
Right, or some fighter jets.
Yep.
Especially this is the corridor that they come in. So I've avoided talking to you at this point.
Yep. So it's usually best to stay 2,000 or below till you get across Carswell.
For us newer pilots, we call it Navy.
Navy, yep.
The Joint Naval Air Station, whatever. The old Carswell.
The old Carswell.
Okay, so this is my first flight ever in a Bonanza, let alone a VTOL.
Okay.
I definitely could feel that yaw that you were talking about.
A little bit of yaw. It's a little bit's the VTOL. Most of it, I just think this is a small airframe Bonanza. The bigger and the longer they got, the less waggle they have. But yeah, you get a little waggle with the VTOL, but most of it's just a short coupled airplane.
Okay, so for those people watching that don't know anything about VTOLs, why did they design a VTOL? What's the advantage of a VTOL?
You just have one less surface in the airstream to create drag. So anything you have sticking out in the airstream creates drag. So they were looking to eliminate one surface. So they made a VTOL, a combination of a rudder and an elevator.
A ruddervator.
A ruddervator, just to get the efficiency up. You have a smaller engine and still cruise at 175 miles an hour. And I burn 11 gallons an hour. So I have, if you look at the math, I also fly 172s. If you look at the math, this airplane gets a little bit better fuel economy miles per gallon than a 172 does.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. Okay, so let's talk about this Bonanza specifically.
Okay.
This is a G35. I'm sorry, what?
B35G, a G model.
B35G.
B35G, correct. So it's unique in that it's the serial number 4376, which is in the middle of the F line of Bonanzas. and it came off the assembly line of the Fs and came out of Beechcraft Experimental, and it flew off the type certificate for the G model Bonanzas.
So this is the plane that flew off the type certificate for the G model.
That's correct.
And that was what year?
That was 1955. The G models are a 1956 model. I'm not exactly sure when they started building all the serial numbers of the G model, but this one definitely came out in September of 1955.
All right, how'd you come about buying this one?
It was just over in Abilene. My dad saw it. He knew I was looking for an airplane, and I didn't actually even know any of the history on the airplane until after we started researching. I didn't know that it was anything special about it at all. It was just a V-tail Bonanza. It met my mission, which is flying from point A to point B at a relatively high speed and a good fuel economy. And it also had an autopilot. That was mainly what sold me on is this S-Tech autopilot. And it's a good looking airplane.
All right, and so what are some of the upgrades you've done? Let's start with the instrument panel.
This whole instrument panel is brand new. It's a STC instrument panel. The original one was probably about this tall, and it was just Art Deco spread out all over the place. I had radios over here, I had radios way over there. It just was not an IFR platform, which I wanted to turn this airplane into an IFR platform. So we put this, we gutted the whole instrument panel. We had to put in the speed slope windshield just for this instrument panel, so the instrument panel would have hit the windshield. Rewired the airplane as much as we could, except for a few wires in the wings. And that all started with just putting new glass in it so my wife could see out of her side of the airplane.
All right. Well, at least you didn't have to justify then your spend to your wife.
Well, I did have to justify over, well, since we're going to do this and since we're going to do that, I did go over budget by quite a bit of what her budget was, not my budget. I've never broke any of my budgets. I broke hers all the time.
Right.
But they started building the Bonanzas in 1947. They advertised it as a corporate, quote unquote, the corporate jet. So you don't have a yoke in front of you. The rudder pedals in front of you stow up against the floor, so you can have all the leg room you want. So you'd have a pilot. You'd be over in your executive seat or in the back seat, and this was the corporate airplane of the day. You could get from here to Chicago in a day, an easy day, and that airplane just didn't exist. They were all the 195s, Cessnas, Staggerwing.
Yeah.
So this was a revolutionary airplane.
A lot sleeker.
A lot sleeker than
what was out there.
The airplane of the day.
Yeah.
But a lot of this technology just came from World War II. This engine is an E225, and it's the engine that spawned the IO470s, the 520s, the 550s, the big bore Continentals.
My engine on my 210.
Yes. And this is unique engine. It's a dry sump engine, so it has an oil tank in it like a radial.
And what's the advantage of that?
I don't think there's really any advantage. They just we're taking the O200, which has a separate little oil tank, or the Cub engine has a little kidney oil tank, and that was just the technology of the day. So they just used that technology and built the E225, the E185 E225, and it has a oil tank separate from the engine.
All right, so it's a 4-seater.
4-seat. I cruise. I plan to cruise at about 140, 145 knots, and I plan at 11 gallons an hour or 12 gallons an hour, but I typically burn right at 11. That gives me almost a little over 4-hour range. Typically, I don't like to fly over 3.5 hours. That's about all I can stand to sit in the airplane anyway.
Right. So it's a good little corporate cruiser for the late 40s and 50s.
Yep. And it has good climb performance. 10,000 feet, 12,000 feet. That's easily reachable. Get up in the cool air.
And she's this particular plane IFR certified?
Yes, it is.
All right. Now I'm looking at all steam gauges, so it's VOR.
I have one GPS, precision approach GPS.
Okay.
This is the radio pre-430s.
That's the early models.
That's the early models. But when I redid the instrument panel, 430s were very high. They still hold their price very well. But
yeah, they do.
this has been a great radio to fly behind. It's coupled to the autopilot, so it does non-precision approaches and terminal.
But you've got your ILS for that anyway.
I have this head is for the GPS, and I have a ILS head here, and then just a regular VOR head here.
So you got 3. So this plane requires a complex high-performance endorsement.
Yes.
You're over 200 horse, and we've got gear flaps and propeller.
But down here low, pulled back to 20 inches. We're doing 172 speeds, 110 knots. So we're just loping along here, 3,000 feet.
So on your long cross countries, what do you tend to cruise at?
I do 2,300 on that propeller, and then 22 on the manifold pressure. That gives me 11 gallons an hour and 140 knots.
140 indicated.
Yep.
That's pretty good. Do you have any kind of trim for
No,
for that?
Nope.
For y'all?
Nope. Only trim I have is a rotor trim, pitch trim. There's a bungee cord that ties the rudder pedals and the ailerons together. So when you do, we'll just do a 360 here. So if we do a 360 here, my feet are off the pedals. It'll put a little bit of rudder in it, so it'll stay coordinated. It's gonna be kind of hard to visualize it here in the bumps, but they tied the rudder vaders and the aileron. All Bonanzas are that way. Even the conventional tails have a bungee cord between the two, so they'll stay coordinated.
That's
so
pretty amazing.
In the crosswind, you do have to. What you do anyway, have to step on the rudders,
but it's staying coordinated without you doing any rudder input.
My feet are on the floor. And you can adjust that. There's a little knob here. You can adjust the ailerons.
Huh.
So if you are getting a little roll for some reason, you can adjust it out. So it's a relatively easy airplane to fly. Other than it just being complex, you have 3 knobs, but it's very stable. An approach is it just sets it up without a lot of rudder or elevator trim.
Yeah.
Get the flaps in, get the gears down, and the speeds just come in right in on an instrument approach. Not a lot of trimming has to be done. Just set your manifold pressures to where you want the speed to be and configure the airplane to land, and pretty well takes care of itself.
Okay.
But it will speed up. I mean, if you push the nose over and don't pull the power back, it will gather some speed, and that's got a lot of people in trouble in the days gone past.
That was the big complaint about the plane, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the they got the bad reputation as the fork-tailed doctor killer, but a lot of that was just due to inexperienced pilots just pushing the nose over, getting too much speed, and getting some rudder vader flutter. And I guess the most notable or known airplane crash of the V-tail Bonanza is the day the music died.
The day who died?
The day the music died. Buddy Holly,
Oh,
Richie Vallon, and the
that
Big
was a
Bopper.
V-tail?
That was a V-tail Bonanza. It was a straight 47. They had 4 people in it, which is
Oh, okay.
they had to be. If you do the weight and balance with 4 people, they had to be small people. I don't know how much each one of those weighed and how much baggage they were carrying. But
Well, what? Okay,
It's very hard
so
to-
if that's the same plane that Buddy Holly died
right.
and Richie Valens, what happened? Tell me about that one.
So they had a concert. The heater in the bus was broken, and they had to be somewhere up north, Chicago, somewhere up Milwaukee. I don't know exactly where they were headed, but the heater in the bus was broken. Buddy Holly chartered an airplane. This was in the 50s, which was this airplane, a straight model of this airplane, to fly to their next concert. They took off in the middle of the night in a small snowstorm. It had a Lear artificial horizon that could be caged. And when the airplane was found, after the post-investigation of the crash, the artificial horizon was caged, but the pilot was not instrument rated. So it was a snowstorm night, low bad weather, and VFR pilot. 6 traffic, Bonanza 98 Bravo will be crossing midfield, enter left downwind 14, full stop Hicks. So we're in the gear speed 140, so we're going to put the gear down.
And you got a green light.
Green light.
But there's no way to physically...
Mechanical indicator. Well, I have a mechanical indicator right down here on the floor that tells me the nose wheel's down.
So that's what that is.
Yeah. All right, we got gas. Undercarriage is down. Prop is in, the mixture's in. Traffic, detail Bonanza, left base 14,
500.
That Stratus talking to you?
Yep. 6 traffic, detail Bonanza's final 1445. So as everybody knows, you don't mess with anything on the runway, because bad things can happen. So when we're clearing, one finger, bring the flaps up. I gotta open the cow flaps. That's it. If you use one finger on the ground, you can't mess up too much.
All right, so Larry, thanks for taking us out in your V-tail Bonanza. It's nice going back to the 50s here, but with some modern touches. And for you guys watching, if you like our channel, please subscribe. And also share and leave comments for us. And thanks for watching.
Thank you.